Hey, good to see you again. How you doing? We're going to get moving on here. So far what we've done is we've created a submarine, and as we did at the last lesson, we started animating. So if you look right now on the bottom here, this is our film strip. We have a 100 frame film that we have here, and we looked at how to keyframe the periscope and rotating the periscope around 5 times. Okay, so what we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to make the rudder go back and forth, and we're going to rotate the propeller. So and after that, if we have time, we are also going to kind of start working on setting up the camera for our video here, as well as working on the lighting a little bit. So we'll do that at the end of this video. So let's start with the propeller at the back, because it's going to be very similar to what we did with the periscope, except in a different axis. So maybe I'll go for a back view. So I forget what number it is, but there we go. So I just pressed number 1 on my number pad. So as you can see here, the front view, I guess I have the front view, but I pressed the number 1 and I wanted to view the back of my submarine. So here we go. I'm just going to focus on the propeller, and we're going to keyframe the propeller. So we're going to have it rotate, I don't know, 5 times, just like we had the periscope do. So remember the process. The process is, first of all, for keyframing, you have to select the object. So I'm in object mode. You have to select the object that you would like to keyframe. So it's the propeller. I'm just selecting the propeller. Next, you want to go to the frame that you'd like to keyframe. So I'm going to go to frame number 1. And again, you can use the arrow keys if you want to do that. The next step is to go, and we went into this tab right here, the content object, and we want to set the rotation the way that we want it. So if we look here, I'm just going to scrub the y-axis, and as you can see, if I scrub the y-axis, that's actually the axis I want to animate in this case. Okay, so I'm just going to reset this to 0, but it looks like the y-axis, if I rotated the z-axis, that's not the axis I want to rotate in. So all we have to do, first of all, so it's going to be the y-axis, go to the frame you like to animate the degrees, and right now it's 0 degrees in the y-axis, which is good. That's what I want. I don't want it to be rotating yet, but I need to actually insert that as a keyframe. So I'm going to press the letter I, and we're only memorizing the rotation here. So, and I'm going to choose rotation. So at that particular moment, what we should have theoretically is keyframed that frame. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into frame 100, which is where we like the animating to stop, and in the y-axis, since we want it to rotate 5 times, we are going to type in 1800 degrees. That's 360 degrees times 5, and then we are going to memorize by inserting the rotation keyframe. Okay, so oh, it looks like it had no context for it. Oops. There we go. Okay, so I have that as my keyframe, and there we go. So the reason I had a mistake there is I hadn't selected the propeller, and it said there was no context available. So now that I got my 2 keyframes in there, I'm done. The back propeller rotates 5 times. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the rudder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into wireframe mode. So I'm going to press Shift Z, wireframe mode. I'm going to select my rudder. And that might be tricky in some cases. It might accidentally select the body. So select my rudder, and I'm going to go to my top-down view to just show you a few things. So I'm going to press the number 7 on my number key and focus in on my rudder here. Okay, that might take you a little while to do, but I'm in wireframe view so I can actually see through the body, and I went to the top view. Okay, so one thing you need to understand is that this orange dot here is the origin. So if I play around with the rotation, well, that's going to be the wrong rotation. So I believe in this scenario it's going to be the z-axis. So what you're noticing is, as I kind of scrub this is kind of what I want the rudder to do. Right now it's rotating about that orange dot. What I would like to do is I would like to make it so it's rotating not around the center, but it's rotating around right here. So I'd like it to go back and forth around there. So what we need to do is change this origin point. So to do that, one keyboard shortcut that you should remember is F3, which is a search tab. So if I just go ahead and press F3, oops, just need to select that again. F3. Actually, before I do that, what I actually need to do is move my cursor to that point. So you want to go to cursor, and you want to move your cursor to the point where you want your new origin. Okay, so now I'm going to press F3. I'm going to type the word origin, and a whole bunch of stuff comes up. So what we want to do is set the origin. So click on that, and we're going to set it to the 3D cursor. So you can see now that little orange dot moved. And if I go ahead and rotate in the z-axis, now it's rotating about that point, which is a good thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and animate it. So what we're going to be doing is making it go, let me just check here. Yeah, we're going to go, this is kind of the animation that I want to record here. So I'm going to start in the middle. I want to go 45 degrees this way. I want to swing 45 degrees that way and end in the middle. So that's kind of what it's going to look like there, okay? So what we like to do, we're going to do several keyframes in this scenario. So in frame 1, we would like to memorize that the rotation is 0, 0, 0, which is great. So not a problem. We're going to insert a rotation keyframe. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to, at frame 30, so just go up to 30, we would like the Z rotation to be -45. And you can even type -45 here. Okay, so that's the rotation we like to be at. And then I'm going to press the letter I and insert that rotation. Okay. Next, we are going to go to frame 70. Okay. And I would like my rotation to be at +45. So I'm just going to type +45. And then I'm going to press the letter I. Press the letter I and insert that rotation. And finally, I'm going to go to the 100th frame. And I would like the rotation to be back down, as you can see, at 0. So I'm going to type 0 in for Z, and I'm going to insert the rotation. So at this moment, I should, there we go. Okay, so it's just going back and forth a little bit. And you can even see if I zoom out, I've got all the other parts rotating as well. Okay, the periscope's rotating, the propeller's rotating, and the rudder's going back and forth. Okay, so the last thing we'd like to do in this video is just to show you how to edit the atmosphere a little bit and to set up the camera as well. It doesn't matter if you're in solid mode or wireframe mode. I'm just going to go to solid mode. But what I would like you to do is make it so that your submarine is somewhat centered on your screen. Okay, so you're more kind of about this size centered on your screen. Don't worry about these black lines I have here. You could also, if you'd like to be a little bit more accurate, it might be good for you to maybe press the 3 key on your number pad and kind of get them just like that. Okay. What we're going to do next is make it so the actual video camera, because right now you can actually see this black thing is my video camera. Yours probably isn't there right now, but we're going to set it so the video camera is centered to that submarine. Okay. So the way to do that is to press F3. Again, bring up the search menu. Okay. Then you are going to type in the word align, A-L-I-G-N, and what we'd like to do is align the camera to the view that we have. And you're kind of going to get a view that looks like this. So that is, you might look a little bit different. Your submarine might be a little bit bigger or smaller on the camera. We can adjust that later on, but as long as you have it sort of looking like this, that's now the view of our camera. Okay. In fact, what you might want to know also is if you press the letter F12, so it talks about the animating process here and a variety of things, but if you press F12, what you'll get is the rendered view. So you'll actually see what your camera or your video looks like on that particular frame. So I'm on frame 50 right now. If I press F12, it's going to show me on frame 50 what my movie actually looks like. It takes a little while to render, but that's my movie. Okay, so we've centered it to the view. Next, I like to work on the lighting, which is actually already set up pretty well. But you can always change the lighting. Let me just kind of show you the idea. Generally, you're already going to have a light in your world. So you can see even off to my right menu here, it says light. And my light looks, if I click on it, you can even see it get selected. My light looks like this. You'll probably, if you zoom out far enough and rotate, you'll probably have a light in your scene. And the good news is it's probably in a good location. So let me show you what would be a bad location. Like the lighting's already pretty good. But if I had accidentally or on purpose moved, so what you can see here, my camera is on this side, so it's viewing the submarine, and my light's behind my submarine as far as the camera's perspective is. So if I pressed F12 now, you'll see that my submarine has a light behind it, and that's the way that it's set up, right? So you can do a variety of things. You could, if I put my light directly below my submarine, you could imagine that I'd have an underlit submarine, an underlit submarine. So that's how lighting works. You can add lights as well. It's just under the add menu right here, so add lights. But usually the default position, as far as this project goes, is a good position. You'll also find out that the lighting's pretty good as well. Right, so that's decent lighting. You can change it. You're more than welcome to. I'll show you where to edit that. So maybe I'll move mine down a touch so I have more of a view of the bottom. And then I'll show you where you can change some of these things. So that's my view right now. It might be a little bit bright. So to edit your lighting, if you'd like to do that, you just select your light and you go to this context object data where it looks like a little light bulb here. And this is where you can change tons of stuff. You can change the type. So if I change this to sun, a sun type of light, what you're going to find out is the lighting in my rendered view, F12, looks significantly different. Obviously a sunshine is ridiculously bright, so that's kind of that. So I suggest just staying with a point. You can play around with the color, but the power is where you can change how bright it is. So if I lower my power to like 760 or whatever it happens to be, compared to previous, it just has a little bit less light, but you can see those shadows and all that sort of stuff. Okay, you can also change the color of your light. I wouldn't, but if you wanted to be in a green lighted system, that's where you could do this. Okay, so now I should have a greenish tint on my submarine. So that's the idea behind lighting, but by default it's pretty good. Also specularity here is kind of how much shine you have on it. So if you lower your specularity down to 0, you're going to see that there's not really any reflection. So if I do this, there's not really any reflection or shininess to my submarine. So that has to do with specularity in a little way. So that's basically lighting. So as long as you get your lighting set up and your camera has been set up previously, that's all we wanted to accomplish in this particular video, okay?